Hey, remember that awesome moment in Skyfall when Bond merrily pops along a crane arm and jumps into the train car he's just opened up like a tin can? Well, that was all done for real, with Daniel Craig performing the stunts himself. Sure, he had a wire and the whole thing was carefully planned out by stunt coordinator Gary Powell and his team, but it's still awesome. Anyway, let's take a look at a few other rad Bond stunts and how the filmmakers pulled them off. First up, gotta start with the latest, No Time to Die. Why? I mean, come on, like that's our bread and butter. It's shiny, it's new. Anyway, there's plenty to choose from, but the one that really sticks out in the trailer, and therefore the easiest for me to pull footage for, Natch, is the motorcycle jump in Matera. Former professional motorcycle enduro racer Paul Edmondson performed the jump in collaboration with stunt coordinator Lee Morrison. The idea originated with Craig wanting to do a motorcycle sequence, which led the team to craft a sequence that could be shot in Matera and feel organic to the story. In this case, Bond trying to get back to Madeleine as fast as possible. The shot itself took 3 days in total to film, with the landing complicated by wind conditions that wound up ruining several of Edmondson's jumps during rehearsals. But hey, professionals still be professionals, and we wound up with yet another in a long line of great Bond stunts. Going back to the start of Craig's tenure, we gotta talk about that opening chase in Casino Royale. Gary Powell and freerunner Sebastian Foucan worked in tandem to craft one of the most fresh and exciting sequences in the franchise at the time, with Foucan being chased by Craig across a construction site. Well, across is a strong word. Above? Throughout? I don't know, but man, they sure did kill a lot of innocent construction workers. Anyway, as far as the why of the chase, screenwriter Neil Purvis said, "We wanted to establish the new Bond is gadget-free, raw, slightly crazy, very physical, and incredibly brave. We were also aware there had never been a foot chase in a Bond movie before." Which, I guess that last part is kinda accurate. They do tend to evolve into boat chases, tank chases, gondola chases. Point being, with Jason Bourne super popular and that raw physical Bond in mind, the production turned to the new hip sport of free running. The entire sequence did utilize wires and padded surfaces for safety, but overall was again done for real. That's kind of the simple but cool reality of Bond action sequences. Most of the time, they're just done as close to real as possible. With exceptions. Of course, long before he was throwing North Korean colonels disguised as wealthy, affluent British men out of planes, Pierce Brosnan got plenty of moments to shine. Well, his stuntman did anyway.
Thank you.
For the opening bungee jump that began his tenure in the role, Brosnan's stunt double, Wayne Michaels, performed what was, at the time, the record for the highest bungee jump off a fixed structure. Not a bad way to start Bond's triumphant comeback. To capture the full grandeur of the jump, production used multiple camera angles to show both the massive scope and to cut in for the little moments that really sell the sequence, like Bond pulling out a gun at the end of the fall, which Michaels managed just before passing out. As he says, per this giant book, the loading on the ropes is extreme, and the body is traveling at such a high rate of speed that it puts a great deal of strain on you. You're trying to desperately hit a pocket of air that will take you away from the wall, and the winds that are whipping around the bowl of the dam toss you like a leaf. At the end of the jump, I only had milliseconds to pull out a gun to complete the scene, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from getting that damn gun out. With that Bondian attitude along for the ride, the jump itself was done in just one take, after a whole heap of testing and a couple weeks of waiting for the weather to cooperate, 'cause wind. It blows. From one jump to another, we gotta talk about that amazing parachute jump culminating in the glorious reveal of the Union Jack at the end of The Spy Who Loved Me's intense opening sequence. The shot itself was extremely perilous, and like the similarly audacious jump in Goldeneye, it's one that required a lot of preparation and waiting on the elements, mostly the wind, once again. This is quickly becoming the theme of the video, by the way. Just wind. Per Glenn, the shot wound up costing $250,000 to shoot due to the sheer immensity of preparation and safety precautions. And you know what? Worth it. Stuntman Rick Sylvester and the team behind him freaking nailed it.
Look after Mr. Bond. See that some harm comes to him.
Okay, I know I'm going through a lot of jumps here, but man, there is some really good mid-air action in Bond's history. This includes Roger Moore's best film, Moonraker. Yeah, it's okay. I know I'm right. Anyway, much like in The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker begins with some wild jumpin' action, in this case the famous parachute stunt following definitely Roger Moore throwing this dude out of the plane before being pushed out himself by everyone's favorite dental experiment, Jaws. But uh-oh, Bond ain't got no parachute, y'all, so he wrestles with the henchman he tosses to the side for his parachute, only to wind up in a mid-air battle with definitely 100% Richard Kiel. The scene is bolstered by the sheer level of the real mid-air work from stuntmen Jake Lombard, BJ Worth, and Ron Luganbill, the latter of whom makes for a hilarious Jaws double. All three were given specially designed flat-pack parachutes hidden under their clothes to make the threat of Wile E. Coyote-style death all the more possible to the viewer. And yes, before you correct me, Wile E. Coyote did die every time and was replaced by a clone, Prestige-style, but you're not ready for that conversation. Of course, actual freefall is a pretty quick endeavor, and the point from jumping out of the plane to having to pull their parachutes was so narrow that only a few seconds of filming could take place each jump, resulting in 88 jumps over the course of 5 weeks.
Go out and get him. Out there? Go. Yes, Excellency.
Octopussy is yet another Roger Moore vehicle with some pretty great stunts, and well, it's another air one. Although this time Bond isn't falling the whole damn time. Instead, he's fighting with the world's most dedicated henchman. We get a few more inserts of Roger Moore in this sequence, probably because it's the big finale, but that doesn't mean the filmmakers are scared of showing off returning stuntmen Jake Lombard and BJ Worth. Once again, everyone wore flat parachutes, and with the assistance of carefully placed handholds, were able to once again do the stunts for real, including this insane roll, and well, just fighting on an airplane in midair. It's freaking rad. Quick twofer from Live and Let Die, yet another Moore vehicle, but this time not thousands of feet in the air, so that's different. We get two really sick standout stunts: the speedboat jump and the Croc hop. I don't know if anyone's ever called it the Croc hop before, but I'm calling it the Croc hop. The speedboat stunt is simple enough. Stuntman Jerry Como? I say Como.
Stuntman Jerry Como
used a specially redesigned speedboat with redistributed weight and a ramp to clear the police car. The jump went for a distance of 110 feet, yet another world record on this list. The Croc hop, meanwhile, is a little less fun. Stuntman Russ Kananga, famous as a crocodile wrangler and owner of the Jamaican swamp attraction where the scene was filmed, was paid $60,000 for the stunt, which he had to do 5 times to get right. As you can imagine, the ones he got wrong were a challenge unto themselves. He wound up having his clothes and shoes bitten off his body and received 193 stitches on his leg and face. Goodness gracious. The crocodiles, well, poor little buddies had their feet tied down with weights while this dude stepped all over them. If you ask me, it's time for those oversized handbags to unionize.
You're not thinking that.
I sure am, boy.
Finally, let's end on one of the most bittersweet stunts in Bond's history, the corkscrew jump in The Man with the Golden Gun, in which we get this amazing, borderline, mind-melting jump so perfectly done that Top Gear famously couldn't replicate it, even in their second attempt, which, while technically a success, doesn't match the fluidity of the original. It's a legit marvel to behold, a car jump so precise that no driver had even attempted it until the year previously at the Houston Astrodome on January 14, 1972. Stunt driver Lauren Bumps Willert performed the scene in one take. It remains the most thrilling moment in the film, an unbelievable feat of both of engineering, mathematics, sheer gusto, save there's one little issue. It sounds like this. Now, I could make an 8-hour video on Bond stunts, but unfortunately my time is up. Heck, I didn't even dig into Timothy Dalton. He has so many excellent sequences, like this one in Living Daylights, and I didn't mention Sean Connery's Bond once. Look, there's just so much good stuff to mine from Bond's 60 years of badassery.